I'm actually related to a guy named Thor, the Skull Splitter.
Thor, the Skull Splitter.
Fun fact for you guys.
But, we'll get into that. But first of all, congratulations on a terrific rookie season.
Thank you.
It was certainly thrilling to behold for so many of us. I'm not supposed to mention that I'm a Mets fan, but if I were allowed to, I would. You probably detected my enthusiasm. I had one opportunity to interview Noah during the course of the season. It was just before the World Series started, and it was. It was fun. So we talked to all four starting pitchers, the young starting pitchers, and you are the only one of the four. I'm talking about Mr. Harvey, Mr. DeGrom, Steven Matz, and yourself, who has not had Tommy John surgery. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. And when I think about, today it is so routine, and so many guys undergo the surgery. And it would seem to have to be a natural byproduct of how hard guys throw every pitch. And you are the hardest thrower in all of Major League Baseball. Just the other day, there was some talk on the internet about just how hard everybody's throwing these days. The average fastball is up to 92 miles per hour. Your average fastball was something like 97 miles per hour, making you the hardest thrower in Major League Baseball. How do you throw so hard and not worry about the consequences of all of that pressure on your arm?
Well, this year I learned a lot about pitching. Kind of took on a different mentality about halfway during the season, because I used to grip the ball really, really hard and basically try to muscle the ball towards home plate. And being able to work with Dan Warden has been a dream come true. I think he's the best pitching coach in the game, and he's really taught me how to throw more like with my body and let my arm do the rest of the work.
It's like not over-swinging a golf club. Let the club do the work.
Exactly, let the club do the work, and I've actually been able to transfer that to my golf game.
How is your golf game?
Awful. I actually don't want to talk about it.
Sorry. I didn't bring it up.
But I learned to let my body do the work and not try to do too much out there, and my velocity increased later in the season, and I think that's a big part of it.
It's one of those things, you have to go do your job, but there is nothing more fragile than a pitcher's arm. Mm-hmm. And I mean, historically, they've worried about it. My father wrote a book with Tom Seaver 45 years ago, and he used to worry. He'd go to sleep every night scared that he was going to wake up having slept on his arm in such a way that it became a dead arm or something like that. And of course, there were injuries such as the kind that Sandy Koufax suffered in 1966 that today could be remedied, with a simple procedure, but were career-ending back then. Is it about the mechanics, as you said, not applying too much pressure, or do you just not worry about it now because so many guys have such great success after the surgery?
Well, I still worry about it. It's always in the back of my head because I don't want to be able. The success rate of that surgery is astronomically high now, but I don't want to miss a year of baseball. So I credit it to a couple of things: my workout in the off season, get my body right, spring training. And then I credit the rest to mechanics and also our strength conditioning staff and our training staff as well, making sure my body's in the best position possible to go up and perform and stay healthy.
Well, you are well known for the rigor of your workouts, your enthusiasm for weightlifting. Conventional wisdom used to be that baseball players shouldn't have big muscles and they shouldn't work out too much, particularly pitchers, that it made muscles too tight, all that. Has all of that been rejected now, and the idea is just to be as strong as you can be?
That's my mentality. I don't know what it is about the rest of baseball, but I like to be as strong as possible. I go back, I really admire Nolan Ryan and his work ethic, and he was well into his 40s still throwing the crap out of the ball. So
it's a Texas thing.
Yeah, it's a Texas thing. But that's something I really admire. But I'm going to continue to have that same amount of work ethic and for my entire career.
Now you grew up in the Dallas area in Mansfield, and when you were a little kid, the Rangers were really good. Ryan had just retired. He wasn't still pitching. You don't remember him, I'm sure. Rusty Greer and Juan Gonzalez and Pudge and Will Clark. I mean, there were some great talents there. They always got frustrated in the postseason, though, by the Yankees. What are your first memories of baseball?
I mean, playing recreational ball when I was 7, 8 years old, there was always a routine that the entire NYBA, or the league I was playing for, would go and walk around the warning track before a Rangers game.
At the ballpark in Arlington.
At the ballpark in Arlington. So that's right off the top of my head. It's
a great ballpark.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. So.
Yeah. So that must have been fun.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And were you an avid Rangers fan?
I'd say avid Rangers fan, but I did root for them growing up. That's about the only team I might have allegiance for.
And you were not. I mean, I lived. As I said, I lived in Dallas. I spent some time there. It's football country. Mm-hmm. How did you? I mean, with your size and everything, how did you keep the football coaches at bay?
I played football in 7th and 8th, or just 7th grade actually. I stopped in 8th grade. It wasn't fun.
You didn't like
getting hit? I started off on B team. I'm about to open up for you guys.
So this is all off the record as far as
started off on B team and then got moved up to A team. I was having a lot of fun on B team, and then A team was just brutal. We had 13 kids on the team going against some of the top powerhouses in Texas, and I remember I didn't tell my mom I got moved up because the A team always played after the B team. She shows up, she's like, "Why aren't you playing?" And then the first thing I said was, "Can we go home?" I did not want any part of that.
What were you playing?
Defensive line, offensive line, everything, special teams. We had so little kids on the team.
Look, I mean, I don't know much about Mansfield High School, but with the arm that you were displaying on the baseball field, did the football guys? They must have been tempted to have you go out and throw the outball.
No, yeah. When I was in high school, the football coaches were always trying to get me to go out there. But I don't know if you saw a freshman yearbook picture. That wasn't necessarily intimidating.
Well, you were about 6 feet tall, though, right?
Yeah, give or take, but serious baby fat guy.
When did you have your growth spurt?
Probably going into my junior year of high school.
And how did that change your game?
I mean, it was the first year that I actually hit 90 miles per hour pitching. Just helped me tremendously. That's when I first developed a love for being in the weight room.
You were not one of those guys that everybody talked about coming out of high school. I mean, you were drafted highly. I think you were 38th overall pick in the draft, so it wasn't as if you were ignored or anything. But you weren't one of those guys everybody's talking about. Is that because you had kind of developed later?
I would think so, yeah. I mean, I went into my senior year of high school, and I topped out at 89, going in area code tryouts. So I was pretty content on going. I was committed to go to Dallas Baptist. Pretty content on going there for 3 years, and then getting drafted then. And then November rolls around, I start getting my first call from scouts. Like, oh, this is kind of cool, and then it kind of just progresses from there. I'm like, well, this might become a reality right now. So.
Was there any temptation to go the college route? To go to Dallas Baptist instead of?
I wanted to start my career as fast as possible. I think I made the right decision. I mean, who knows what could have happened in 3 years in college. So I'm extremely blessed and fortunate to be where I am now. What
were you thinking when you got traded 3 years ago from Toronto to New York as part of that R.A. Dickey deal?
It was kind of a crazy whirlwind that happened. I wasn't too sure what to think. I didn't think that the Blue Jays just didn't like me. I didn't hold any grudges against the Blue Jays. I knew that there was more to the picture, but I can't be more.
Did you think about working on a knuckleball at that point? No. Developing one?
But I couldn't be more happy to be a Met right now.
Hey, what happened this past season with the Mets? It was so astounding in so many ways. When you think about where that team was at the end of June, where it still was at the end of July. With all due respect for your teammates who swing bats for a living, they hadn't been doing much, and then to go on that tear from basically the day Cespedes was acquired, right up through the World Series. What was it like to be part of that?
It was an unbelievable experience to be a part of. I mean, you tough times for us. It just shows the amount of resiliency we have and the ability to handle adversity, because we're plagued by injuries. And the captain was down for the majority of the season, like 4 or 5 months. We're plagued by a bunch of injuries, a lot of youth, and then July rolls around. We made some key trades, acquired Uribe and Kelly Johnson, and those two guys came in our clubhouse and meshed instantly with already the amazing team chemistry we already have. And then you had Cespedes, and that guy's probably my favorite player of all time.
And a lot of people.
Over from there, so.
It was. I mean, even for. I mean, there are a lot of big baseball fans in this room. I'm a big baseball fan. I've been watching baseball my whole life. I've never seen anybody, with the possible exception of like Barry Bonds in 2001 and McGuire and Sosa in '98, and we know that there were other factors involved there. Somebody go on a tear like that, and not just getting a lot of extra base hits, but at the moments where it seemed to matter most. How did that have an impact on the confidence of the team?
When you say when it happens, like when it needs to happen the most, I immediately think of the Washington Nationals series.
Yeah, exactly.
In Washington, it seems like it was like a video game to him. Whenever you just made it look easy. It was hysterical. I just remember laughing my head off in the dugout. Is this real life? Like, this guy is too good.
Have you ever seen anybody in a zone like that?
I've never seen in my life, and it's just awesome to be a part of.
You know, to come over to a different league and to be able to do that, how did he carry himself during that time? Was it kind of like,
like a professional would? I mean, he didn't get too high, he didn't get too low. He stayed the same, and I think that's part of why he's so successful.
I mean, you guys had kept the Mets in the picture for months, and then to have the bats come alive the way they did. And I remember I was at that game against the Nationals. I think we're due to hit 2 home runs, and he hadn't hit one in a while, right? He hit 2 home runs, and then at home, and then he went on the tear. He hit like 9 in 9 games, and that was right when Cespedes got there as well. And all of a sudden, everything seemed to be clicking, and everybody was feeding off of each other. Is that something that's palpable in the clubhouse when the chemistry is flowing like that?
That's what separates us from the rest, is our ability to come together and form as one team. We have no egos on the team. Everyone has one common goal, and we're all striving to get to that goal.
One of the big storylines, obviously, going into this season would be the return of Matt Harvey. After having missed the entire 2014 season, the remarkable things he did in 2013 before he got injured in August. He was the best pitcher in baseball for 4.5 months in 2013. And then he missed a whole year, and he came back this year, and he was great. What do you think? And Matt's 3 years older than you, 4 years older than you now. What do you learn from watching a guy like Matt Harvey do what he did this year?
I give him so much credit for being able to do what he does. Hear a doctor say you need Tommy John surgery. I mean, I can't even imagine what they're playing. Hopefully, I never will. But just the one comeback player of the year. So congrats to him. Just the ability to come back and have the season that he had this year is just outstanding to see.
And Jacob following up on his remarkable rookie season, doing what he did. Another guy who had Tommy John. Was there a point at which you guys felt like you're not just starting pitchers on the same team, but there's needs to and Malone, but you're a unit. Like you guys, people were talking about you as like the Mets starters. Did that mean something to you?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, we're all brothers out there. We all pull from each other, and then we all individually compete as well. Try to push each other to be as best as we possibly can be.
And Max too. I mean, what he did.
He's great to be a part of. Great guy. Unbelievable competitor out there on the field too.
What would you say is the thing that let's say Jacob does that you wish you could do? Another guy with a kind of Dutch French.
Jacob does that I wish I could do.
Anything? I mean, you both have the hair. He was going to cut the hair, but he decided not to, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what the story was?
That's what I thought. Because he said that he was going to cut it, he was sick of it, and then he changed his mind because the last time he did it, he had a slump. Have you guys conferred about this? No? His hair is, it seems like harder work, though.
Yeah, it's pretty thick.
Yeah.
It's
Curly.
a considerable amount of hair.
He's a very like enthusiastic guy. He seems like the guy who's kind of like the highest energy. Is that true?
He's always, I don't know if you see in the dark, he's always pulling pranks and putting gum on my hat or something. I hate it.
well, let's talk a little bit about the postseason, which was so interesting as well. Go ahead. The Dodgers series, people are going to remember the Mets beating those aces. That intimidating Dodgers team. When you guys won that series and you're going to play the Cubs, who'd had a miracle year of their own.
We always had trouble with them during the regular season.
And trouble with them. And the way that, Arietta had been pitching and everything that was going on. What were your thoughts about how that series might go down?
We knew going into it was going to be a tough one, just because of Arietta, who's a freak out there last year, and the rest of the running staff, and the amount of youth that they have in their infield is, they're fun to play against because they're very good.
And getting better.
Yeah, but going into that, we were hot. We were coming off of beating 2 aces, I think, with a big help of Daniel Murphy.
Unbelievable.
But we just went into it just trying to keep things simple. I'm not trying to do too much and continue what we do or what we did for the last 2-3 months of the season.
Looking back now, and you've had just about 6 weeks to get some perspective on it. You can't, obviously, there's nothing you can do about this. There's nothing you would want to do about it necessarily, but the fact that you guys had so much time between the series, how did that affect you? I'm saying after beating the Cubs.
I don't think we got to think back a little bit.
It was like, I think it was 8 days between the 4th game of the NLCS and the 1st game of the World Series.
Yeah.
And you guys have been so hot. And then, some of the momentum, dissipates naturally, no?
No, I don't think. We just continue to chug along and do what we've been doing and stay as positive as possible and keep things simple. And we knew that the Royals would be an aggressive lineup to face. And
is there anything that happens, though, in terms of timing? Maybe it's more of a hitter's thing than a pitcher's thing, but in terms of timing, when you go that long between actual games?
I feel like we did a pretty good job at staying fresh. We had guys going live BP to each other, which I think is probably the hardest thing to do, actually pitching in a World Series game, pitching to your actual teammates, which is very difficult. But we did our absolute best to stay as fresh as possible, and unfortunately we came up a little short, but kind of left a hunger in our stomach and our heart for next year.
What can you tell us about what is going on in your mind as you are preparing to throw the first pitch of Game 3?
Well, it slipped. Yeah, it slipped. I thought about it ever since I watched them face off against Harvey. And well, it seems like a good idea at the time. You had a rough couple of innings though afterwards. Mm-hmm. Was your heart just pumping too much? Harvey in the first round, he had a rough couple of innings that first start, and it was clear that he was just overamped, and then he, found the equilibrium. Does it take a while? Your heart must have been pounding after Escobar, hit the dirt like that. Blacked out because I didn't even realize how loud the stadium was.
It was loud. I was there. It was loud.
I know it was. I couldn't hear Moustakis chirping in the dugout. But I was like, wow, I can't believe you said that.
Do you expect there to be consequences someday?
Maybe.
Well, let me talk, Jared. How it interests me. I like to think of myself as something of a historian of the game, and it's changed obviously. In a previous generation, that's the kind of thing that it wouldn't generate a discussion. It was just expected. Those are the things that happen. You dust yourself off, you get back in the batter's box, and you wait for the next pitch. Now it's become a different kind of discussion. Is that just good old-fashioned hardball?
I think I go back to me admiring Noah Ryan, Pedro Martinez. I think they all love that pitch right there. And, it's just baseball to me. You just got to be able to establish the inside part of the plate. And if they have a problem with it,
I seem to have a problem.
I'd be kind of scared too, but I didn't hit him, so.
Who's the scariest guy? You were only in the major leagues for 6 months. Who's the scariest guy you faced?
Scariest guy or toughest out?
Scariest, as opposed to toughest to hit.
Holiday.
Oh, really?
Have you seen the guy's forms?
Yeah,
They look like trees.
But as a hitter.
Oh,
Yeah.
If I'm on the box?
Yeah.
Well, Arietta, when I made my debut, wasn't fun at all.
No.
I think I tipped the ball.
That's not bad.
It's a win in my book. Garrett Cole was...
Yeah.
I got a base hit off him, but my hand hurt for a week.
How do you feel about, the whole traditional baseball pitcher hitting in the National League thing? Is it something that means that as a pitcher you have to approach the game differently than some of your counterparts in the American League?
No, I like it. I think it's fun to go up there and hit. Keeps the game kind of relaxed for me a little bit. You go up there, pitchers go up there and they're not expected to have great success. I feel like I can use that to my advantage. But I feel like I can handle the stick pretty well, and I think it's an attribute to myself.
But it also means the dynamics are more fair. You're gonna throw at Escobar, somebody's gonna have a chance to throw at you. So
that's kind of...
Is that kind of...
throw at a pitcher, though, really?
I don't know. Have you ever seen it happen? I feel like it happened. No?
I think someone threw it at Arietta.
Is it?
Yeah,
Really?
they hit Arietta.
Yeah. Being in the World Series, even though it didn't turn out the way you guys obviously wished it had, it could have so easily. I don't remember what the exact numbers were, but I think you guys led for, the vast majority of the innings in that series. Obviously, you win Game 3. Games 4 and 5 were within your grasp. Does that make it harder? Would it have been easier to get blown out than the way you guys lost this World Series?
I think it just makes us that much more hungrier and work harder for next year. This year it was that close.
Yeah.
But I thought we were going to win it from the entire World Series. And I thought they were going to write a book about us called No Crying in Baseball. And it all starts from the series with Washington.
From Flores.
Wilmer thinks he's being traded. And then it hits a walk-off.
That's a good title for a book. You can still write it.
If we win this, can I see the future? I thought we were going to do it in, what was it, July? Yeah, July.
Yeah. And to get that close, is it hard though? I've seen teams like let's say you're too young to remember this, but the '86 Red Sox lost the Mets, of course, were one pitch away, one strike away. They didn't say to themselves afterwards, we feel good because we got so close. It was that they were that. It's a different situation. You guys were never one strike away, but there's no reliving that constantly. You did what you could do, but there's no sense of if only the throw to the plate or this or that. You're over that already.
Well, after seeing that final out in the World Series and remembering how I felt watching another team celebrate on our field when it should have been us, which kind of lights up a bigger fire.
Like the Royals.
Succeed next year, yeah.
The Royals, obviously they kind of